Hello everyone! In this video, we are going to talk about the AppDynamics controller overview. Once you have successfully authenticated on AppDynamics, you will come on this landing page. At this landing page, we see these applications listed, and they are listed by the health category. What are the current events that are affecting the health of your application? So here we can see that one application is in warning zone, represented on yellow, and other three are normal. We can also search for a particular application that we know, or we can just scroll down and go through the list. The second item that is quite important on this window is the recently visited, which has on one single list all the items that you're constantly browsing. Here we see the dashboards that we have created. There is a combination of 360 dashboards, and you can search for the ones that you're interested. However, this list can become quite huge, so it's always a good idea to utilize the search box. We also have a list of all the databases, and it applies the same as in the applications, meaning AppDynamics will list them, and you can see how many of them are critical and how many of them are normal. The same applies for the servers. With the analytics, it's a bit more different view. What we have is the number of transactions, how many logs, and the browser and mobile requests. On the user experience, we list on all the different browsers we are using on monitoring our application with AppDynamics, and the same for mobile apps too. This is quite a good view, especially when you log in for the first time in the day and try to find out what is currently health status of your application. The next view I like to go is on all the links that are on the top of the AppDynamics platform, which is applications, user experience, databases, service, analytics, dashboards, alert, and respond. Let's jump into applications. Now, this view is quite powerful. We can see the overall performance of all the applications on the AppDynamics platform. Now this can be quite useful because of what it does. It shows you the health status of the application, plus what is the overall response time, the number of calls that are coming, and what percentage of errors did the application get. And the number of errors with the error per minute. The data that is displayed is related to the time configured. This means that depending on what value you selected for the time, on the right-hand side of the screen, this view changes. You also have the ability to change your views. You can either click for it to be listed in a tabular format, or you can select the card view. You can see your applications on a flow view. So that shows you the flow map of all the applications together, and if the applications are talking with each other. This is quite a good view to see if we are noticing interdependencies between applications and if they are communicating with each other. You can also change this view. You can manage it, for example, if different users are coming and they may be more interested in changing the flow to their specific needs. Now we'll jump back to the card view. What we'll do is we'll pick up our application and just go through some of the features. We've picked up an AD e-commerce application. What we see on the screen is the overall performance of the application flow map and what is really happening within the application. In the middle of the flow maps, we see all the different components that the tiers know that are talking with the application and all the events. Events is a good spot for you to keep an eye on. Events contains all the health rule violations and the business transactions health. It also indicates if there's any changes with the agents or if the agents are dropping or not. In summary, the events are a good space to everyone in the team, and if you click on top of it, you drill down to Events menu. AppDynamics shows you the overall health status of all the business transactions, node health, and server health. If you have Cisco's application integrated with the controller, the security events will be listed over here and the scorecard of your application. At the bottom over here, we have the exceptions and the errors. Right on the bottom, we have the load, the response time, and the errors. On the left-hand side of the navigation, we have the business transactions where all the business transactions are listed and their health status. And as I mentioned relative to the time, these values will change. We also have service endpoints. You can see all the different service endpoints that have been discovered if you're using Java agents and in the case of .NET agents. We also have a view for tiers and nodes where you can see the list of tiers with different nodes inside, or you can just see the overall view of all the nodes, what different machines agents you have, if they are up and running. You also have ability to see hardware matrix, the memory for Java and .NET, and the network too. Next is the server view. This actually brings the partial view of the server visibility to the server component, and it shows you specific servers if the server visibility is installed. And so it shows all the servers that we have and our agent instrumented index. We can double-click on top of the server that we want to learn more, and it will lead us to the server screen. Moving now to the Containers tab, and if your applications are running on containers, you'll be able to see a list of all the containers with this different system properties. And you can double-click on it, and it will take you further down to the container metrics. Going to the Database Calls tab, you are able to see the databases that our agents are bringing to the platform, including the database's name and their ports. Here, it uses the same color codes as the applications, but in terms of database health status. Remote services are services that are outside the control, meaning that our agents are not sitting there or they are outside our network. In this case, we have this API.shipping.com remote service, which is outside our network. Our application is dependent on that remote service, but typically we are missing our connection to it. Troubleshoot is a really good screen when you have issues like slow response time of transactions or slowest DB and remote service calls. You can check the different errors that are happening with the application, also exceptions, and you can drill down and look into the snapshots. The Violations and Anomalies tab are useful, especially with the machine learning component. The War Rooms are useful when you need to create a room to troubleshoot with different teams. Next is the Information Points. This can be quite powerful to get some custom metrics. Moving to the Alert and Response menu, this will take you to a specific screen where all the health rules, policies, and actions configured for the e-commerce application is shown. The metric browser is used to show in one single screen all the different metrics. Let's now jump to user experience and spend a bit of time talking about it. On the user experience screen, what you see is a list of all the different applications. The front end where we have our JavaScript agent embedded into it. So that's where the browser user monitoring is being used. We also have the mobile apps which are utilizing our iOS, Android, and cross-platform. In the connected devices, we have IoT devices. And finally, we have the API monitoring, where you can check how third-party APIs impact your web, mobile, and device performance. Let's jump into a simple browser of real user monitoring and look through the metrics. On the screen over here, we see all the different metrics specific for this browser application that we are monitoring. We have a whole bunch of navigation on the left-hand side with Experience Journey Map, sessions, page, and AJAX request. You've also synthetics as part of it, which are simulated jobs that are running. It simulates the workflow behavior of our users using our application. We also have events because every different module within an AppDynamics platform has events. So here we show all the events happening relatively to the user experience. Let's jump into databases and have a look at all the different databases here. So what do we have on the screen? We have a card view of all the different databases that we are monitoring. We can change this view by changing to a list view, or you can also list them by name, load, time, health, and the type. We can see the different health status of our databases, the executions, the time in databases, what percentage of the hardware is being utilized, and the different types of databases that we have monitored. To configure them, we can easily come to Configuration, click on Collectors, and Add. To demonstrate, we will just pick up one to see what we have here. We start to select the type of database. We pick the agent that this collector will make the connect to, and we give a name that everybody can understand. We write the host name as well as the port. If you use a custom GDBC connection string, you can utilize this one, or you can just put the username and password. That's the database itself, where we see different metrics. We have the correlation happening with the business transaction. This means that the application is talking to a database, and because we have agents sitting on both sides, we are able to build that correlation to do it. This specific business transactions are executed in this particular database. Now the servers view is where we listed all the different servers. AppDynamics gives you a view of all the different servers used by the application. We can click on one of them and have a look at it. It brings up all the hardware metrics in there, and if there is application sitting in there, we are able to build that correlation all the way down to the hardware and all the way to the application itself. With the clusters, we are pretty much looking at a Kubernetes deployment and all the different containers that are running through it. You see how different pods are performing. Analytics is used for sending all the raw data to the platform where you can use our ADQL language to basically build exports out of it or just summarize some of the data for you. Also, all our browser and mobile sessions configured in our platform are here and have metrics available. We can now move to searches. We can create a specific search using ADQL query. For example, we can select the business transactions at a limit of 10, and it gives us the top 10 from all the applications, tiers, and nodes. Moving now to the dashboards. On this view, we have all the different custom dashboards we have created. The next step is the next generation dashboard, which is the Dash Studio. With reports, you can have custom reports. You can generate and schedule some to be sent to specific individuals within organization or to a specific email address. Now with alert and response, you can select the different applications. You can select your user experience, specific application, mobile connected devices, API monitoring, databases, analytics, and create custom rules that is of relevance to you.